Right, now it's time to start a discussion about functions, but first let's create a new project, and I'm gonna speed up the process now a little bit because we already did this a few times. So I'm gonna call it functions, should be in Pascal case. Select IntelliJ, click on next and click finish. Alright, let's delete the code inside the curly braces. Let's hide the project pane. And let's start by saying that until now we have written our code only inside the main function, and occasionally we have called the println function to output some code to the console. But as I said at the beginning of our videos, you can create your own functions in Kotlin. So let's see how we can do that. So go down here at the end of our main function, at the end of our enclosing curly brace, and to declare a function we type the keyword fun. We put space. Next we need to give a name to our function, and the name of the function should say what the function is doing, and generally it's a verb. I'm going to call this function say hello, and it should be in camel case. Next we put parentheses because functions can take input to work with it, and next we put curly braces because this is where we're going to put our instructions for our statements. This is going to put our logic. Now let's add the println statement here. Let's type the text hello, and now let's run this code. Now, as the input, we don't see nothing here because if you hover over this say hello function, it says function say hello is never used, because in order for this function to be used, you need to call it from main function, and to call it from main function we type here the name of the function. You can type it entirely or you can start typing, and IntelliJ is gonna give you some suggestions. So press enter to fill in that for you, and also press Ctrl Alt L to format the code. Now let's run our code. Now you're gonna see that it says in the output hello because the main function executes what's inside the curly braces, and on the line 2 it sees that we have a function that we're calling here a function. It executes the say hello function, the code inside the say hello function. In this case is a simple println statement, and then it outputs that to the console, and it exits the code. It finishes the process because we don't have anything else below for say hello. But what we can do is put another say hello here to call our function again, and now we're gonna see the output hello 2 times because now we're calling the say hello function first on the line 2 and second on the line 3, so it will be executed 2 times. So you can see that in this way functions are reusable and are separate chunks of code which can be reused, and you'll see that they can be reused in specific cases. Now, as I said, functions can take input, and to make a function to receive some input we need to define what is called a parameter. And to define a parameter we type the name of the variable first. I'm gonna call it name, and we need to explicitly provide a type here. So for the type I'm gonna choose string, and we need to explicitly provide a type here because there is no way for the type to be inferred here, because the value that you're gonna pass to this say hello function is gonna be here, so it's impossible to know to what kind of value we're gonna pass to it. So this is why you need to explicitly say what data this parameter or this variable is gonna store. So let's delete this second say hello. Now let's change the text that we have here in the println. Let's refer the parameter name. So put a $sign and start typing name, and you can see that it has this P for parameter, and press enter. Now what is gonna happen now is that this say hello function is gonna be called, is gonna be executed from our main function, and the code inside the say hello function is also going to be executed, and specifically it's going to execute this text that we type here to be outputted. It's going to execute the hello, and then it's going to execute what value if we have passed as an argument for this parameter. And if you don't know what an argument is, the argument is the value that you pass to the function. So in this case, up here we need to pass some text. So I'm gonna put a name here, not here. It should be in double quotation marks, and we see that we have a hint here. It says which says the name of the name of the parameter, which is name. Now, what is gonna happen now is this say hello function is gonna be called, and this value that we passed here is gonna be used in our println statement where we're referring now, which is here. Here we're using the name, and it's gonna use that value, and that value is gonna be outputted down here. And let's run the code to see. Now we get hello Alex, because now it's using the value that we pass here as an argument to the parameter name, and it's using that value down here where we type the println statement or function. Now, functions can take multiple arguments, and to do that we need to define. I should say that you can define more parameters for the function, and a function can take multiple arguments. And to define another parameter, we put comma here, and we type the name of our parameter. It's gonna be age, and we need to provide a type. And I'm gonna provide the type as an integer, because it's gonna store whole numbers. And here we're gonna put an exclamation mark, and I'm gonna type your age is. Now we need to refer the parameter age, and also need to provide the value for that parameter. Now if you go up here, now it says that you need to provide a value for the parameter has age. It says no value passed for the parameter age. So here you need to type on a value for our parameter that we define. So let's say 22. Alright, now if you run this code, now those parameters that we define here are gonna use the values, the arguments that we type here inside our curly braces, or how is often called the body of the function, or the code block. So it's gonna use the values here and here. Now, another important thing to know is that you cannot change the value of a parameter. So if you type here age equals, let's say 30, now if you hover over here, because you have an underline, it says val cannot be reassigned, because those parameters are declared as vals, as variable vals. So that means that they are immutable. You cannot change their values. The only way to use a variable which can have his value change is to declare one. So if you declare here a variable, I'm going to declare it as a var to change its value. I'm going to call it number, and if I assign here a value of 50, now as you know, you can change now his value to, let's say, 70. And you can also assign the parameter here to our variable number, and now we can change his value. Also, you can put number, and you can put another value here. Alright. Another important thing to know is that this variable that we define here, also the parameters, are scoped inside the function say hello. In other words, they cannot be referred or accessed outside of the curly braces of the say hello function. So if I try to access that number variable here, it's not working. If I try to access here on the main function, let's say type number, I can't, because it's scoped inside the say hello function. it exists only inside the say hello function. The same thing with the parameters, age or name. So in this way you can see that functions can be very useful because they are chunks of code which are reusable and flexible. And to see an example with this, let's declare another function down here. Let's call it let's type the fun keyword. Let's call it get data. And this function is gonna mimic a real function in a real app, which can get some data from the internet. Of course, that we're not gonna get some data from the internet, but we're gonna mimic that behavior. So here I'm gonna define a parameter. Let's call it data, and for the type, let's choose string. Right? Let's put the curly braces, and here let's add the print ln statements. And here we're gonna print your data is, and I'm gonna refer the parameter data. Alright, now what I can do up here is to define a boolean variable. It's gonna be a val. I'm gonna call it has internet connection. I'm gonna assign a value of true to it. Now I can put an if statement here. Now I can check to see if that expression is true. So I can put equals true, or use the shortcut because it's better. Here I'm gonna put the curly braces. Now I'm gonna call the get data function only if this condition is true. So in our case it's true, but in a real app that can be false. So in that case you can do something else. As you're gonna see, let's also add the else part here. And here we're gonna call another function which is gonna be called in the case that there is no internet connection. All right. So above here you can put some logic to get the data from the internet, but because this is a simple example, we're gonna type here directly some text. Let's put some data, and for the else part, in the case that there is no internet connection, that variable is false, we can declare another function down here and I'm gonna call it fun show message. And this is not gonna have any parameters. It's gonna have only a simple println statement, and it's gonna say that there is no internet connection. All right, so now let's go up here now, and now you're gonna call the show message function in the else part. Now if you run this code, you're gonna see hello Alex, which is our first function up here on the line 2. Your age is 22, and next to see your data is some data, because it executes the say hello function, then it declares this variable, and it checks to see if this condition is true, and this condition is true, and it executes this function get data. So this is why you get your data is some data. But if for whatever reason the user has no internet connection, let's say you assign a value of false to this, now this function is going to be called show message. So this function show message now is called, and the code inside the show message function is called, which is println, this println statement which says there is no internet connection. In a real app you can have some logic to show dialogue that there is no internet connection. And you can see that in this way with functions you can divide your code in different chunks of different chunks of code, which can be called in very specific cases. So in this case, we only call our functions only in the case that we have internet connection, or in the case that we don't have internet connection. So in this way, we have divided our code in different chunks of code, which can be called in different specific scenarios. And in this way, we can write a program, because if you just put your code, all of your code in the main function, and you execute that code from top to bottom, you cannot create a program like that. So this was an additional discussion with the get data and show message, and I hope that I not confused you a lot. So see you in the next video.